how's it going? Nushi here, and today we got a brand new series for you, Pokemon deck reviews. Now, some of you may be questioning what exactly is this. Obviously, we're going to be reviewing decks in the TCG, more specifically in the online TCG. So, how is this all going to work? Well, first of all, we're going to be going over my standard deck as the first one, as you can see from the title right here. But more importantly, we're going to be going through loads and loads of different decks. Now, this is what I need all of y'all for. What I want y'all to do is I want you to recommend me a deck, specifically the ones that you use, so that I can continue on this series for, especially for standard, since that's what mostly people play, you know? But we're also going to be looking at other things. We're going to be buying some decks to kind of review. Obviously, we're going to have the Pikachu and Zekrom Battle League deck upcoming, the Reshiram Charizard Battle League deck coming to my reviews, as well as we're going to have some themes. Now, I'm not going to be buying the theme decks, to say the least, but I will be buying them in the online TCG and then reviewing them on there. Like, I don't really want to go and spend $15 on a review, especially when the cards in there, like, yes, normally when you buy a theme deck, the cards in there are worth a little bit more than what's inside, or not what's inside. The cards inside, sorry, are worth a little bit more than what you pay for the deck. But I really, really do not want to just go and buy the cards or the theme deck just for that, when I can just go on the online TCG, spend the 500 coins because normally I'm playing a lot anyways, but spend the 500 coins and then review it through there. Now, with the Battle League decks, which you do buy, I'm going to have a little bit more with the grading on that. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be grading it based on the value that you get when you buy the product, as well as on the online what you get, plus how it actually plays in-game. You're going to be seeing a little bit more of that once I get to those episodes, but with this one in particular, we are just going to be looking at how well it plays, as it's a standard deck. You know, this is basically what you're going to be seeing when you go into standard. I'm going to be reviewing it on how well it plays and so forth. Now, a disclaimer on this video: when deciding on how I was going to format it, originally what I was going to do is I was going to play 5 battles and then I was going to grade it based on that. But ultimately, I decided to scratch that. If you watch my streams, you know I test out a lot of decks. I play with a lot of decks. So yeah, I'm just basically reviewing it because I'm going to be playing a bunch of games on my stream. If you've been on there, you know I play a lot. So yeah, we're going to be basically reviewing it off how I played it and how I enjoyed it on stream. And we're going to be putting it into this review and what I'd be like, you know, what I recommended to y'all for playing in the online TCG. That's what the grading system is for. It's going to be rated between F to A+. Now, in order to get an F, though, you basically have to fail the test deck, which is going to be the first stage. The test deck will be the first stage. You know, when you play the online TCG, once you make a deck, you have that little option that says test deck. If you lose that, the deck is basically unplayable. For real. So if you can't get past that, that's an automatic F. And then afterwards, it's just going to be on a completely different grading schedule. So, for instance, some decks may get a D-, but that's basically just if y'all gave me a deck to screw around with and it's going to be trash. Normally, when you're going to be looking at a deck, you're going to also look at what's involved. If you had to buy it, for instance, let me give an example, the Raichu GX box, what you get, or the Raichu GX from the Hidden Face, you do actually get a deck when you redeem the code. But the deck itself is awful. However, the trainers in there that you got are usable. So would that really decipher it getting a D-, or should I be able to grade it a little bit higher? And we're going to be looking at that in these reviews right here. But when it comes to standard, the decks that y'all are going to give me, the decks that I make for these videos, we're going to be just basically reviewing it on how it actually plays. And that's how I think we're going to keep it. Again, so the Battle League, we're going to have an online or an opening portion where I'm going to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down for value. I think we will do a little bit of that for theme, but a little bit less, because normally how those works is like, you know, you pay $13 and then maybe the deck's worth like $15. So it's not like you're really gaining anything from buying it. It's just basically for beginners to play. I do want to review them. I do want to do that stuff, but the only way I think I would take off a point for a theme deck is if it somehow was lower than the value. And that's it, really. But again, this is a brand new series. I hope y'all really enjoy it. The Reshiram and the Charizard deck is so dear to my heart, as it is the one that I play so much. But let's get into the gaming portion of this review. Everybody here, the reason why this deck is named Thank You Wonton, by the way, is because he gave me the deck sleeves, and I was just like, yo, I need to appreciate him a lot more. But anyways, we're going to take a quick look at this deck right here. So obviously you have the Dedenne GXs, basically just for the Dedette change. I have a Volcanion in there just in case if I get the Flare starter. Obviously, if you go second and it's your first move, this thing is probably like the best thing to possibly have. Torkoal V in case of like any GX kind of stuff that they have, like Shrine of Punishment. The Reshiram Charizard, obviously the main thing of this deck. Cinderace V and VMAX, basically same thing as Torkoal V, although as well sometimes they have it so basic Pokemon can attack, so I kind of have that Cinderace VMAX there for protection as well. Here we go into the trainers. We got 2 Acrobikes, 3 Cherish Balls, 2 Fairy Flints. A lot of these are kind of self-explanatory, like the Fairy Flints. The Cherish Ball is super nice because obviously you can summon a Charizard and Reshiram or a Dedenne GX depending on what pickle you're in. If you need a Pokemon, obviously you can scoop up a Charizard and Reshiram. If you want different kind of, or if you want to change your hand, Dedenne GX. That's kind of what I like about the Cherish Ball. It's kind of like a wild card here. Fire Crystal, obviously for discarding fires. Great Ball, look for a Pokemon if you really need it, although I might change that in the future. Pokegear here, mostly obviously to try to find welders and stuff like that. Quick Ball just in case if you got it early and need it. Switch, obvious reasons. Giant Hearth, obviously it's a fire deck, you're going to need them. Boss's Order, obviously important to have in a couple decks from now. Just try to have like at least 2 to 3 in there per deck. Cynthia, always useful. Malo and Lana for switching, for the especially for the HP thing, but as well again switching. Marnie, kind of nice to have, especially if your opponent's setting up like super early. Obviously, when it comes to rookies, sometimes they set up without thinking, and then you're just like, oh, I can just Marnie them. Welder, obviously important, and then as well as you can see, 13 fire energies here. So yeah, that's looking at this deck. Personally, I think it's a really good deck. I really do like it, but obviously it has to go through the first stage of the test deck, which I have more than enough confidence in that it will, so we'll just get to that. Alright, as you can see right here, I'm going to win. Literally, this is basically super early in the battle, so obviously what I'd want to do here is normally get rid of the Giant Hearth right there, get the Welder. I'm just going to show you all the simple kind of setup. Set up the Charizard and Reshiram, just in any case. Obviously, I wouldn't even need to worry about right now. But yeah, so this easily passes the test deck. So that's how you kind of know it's good. It needs to be able to beat the test deck relatively comfortable. And I had the Cinderace V out first. So that just kind of explains right there to you how simple it really should be to beat that test deck. If you're not beating it early, then there is already an issue with that deck. Like, obviously some decks are going to require you to lose prize cards and such, but with this deck, that's not really the case. And here, I beat it in no time at all. So now on to the 5 duels, or in this case, I'll be showing you all the 6th duel whilst giving you the opinions on the deck. All right, so we are here in the review stage of my deck reviews here. Now, for those of you who don't know, this Reshiram and Charizard deck is the deck that I use almost every stream. It is by far my favorite deck. Like the Welder, it's just so broken in the TCG universe, but we're not here to talk about Welder and how broken it is or the Charizard and Reshiram. We're here to talk about this deck in specific. Now, again, this is the deck that I use almost every stream. This is like my go-to one. Obviously, again, I have others, but this has to be my main one. Now, after reviewing it from a couple of streams and so forth, like I decided to change the format. First of all, I was gonna do 5 battles, but at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what? No, we're just gonna review it based on how I do and how I enjoy it online and so forth. But what I gotta say is this deck has so many pros as well as some cons. Obviously, I'm no pro player. I'm not the best at making a deck, and I made this deck myself. Now, obviously, there is some inspiration around it. There's even a product based around the Reshiram and Charizard deck. So like, obviously, it's not like 100% me, but when it comes to like, single-handedly, like I made this deck by myself but I knew what it comes with, like what it's supposed to be in the deck is the best way to say it. But obviously, how it works is, you get the Volcanion out first. Hopefully, if not, you got your Welder and so forth. I enjoy to go second, so that's just on me. But that's specifically more like, you get out, you get the Charizard and a Reshiram. Say they have a Jirachi out up front, you're gonna be able to Welder, put a Fire Energy on that, and then do the 200 move just to completely get rid of the Jirachi, which completely screws up with their setup. You do that, and then you got like one big step ahead of over your opponent. And that's probably one of the crucial things why I enjoy going second. Obviously, there is pros to going to first. For instance, if you do that, You get the fire energy up, and then next turn you'll be able to do the flare strike, whatever it's called, to be able to do the 230 damage to your opponent, and then from there you can just work on that and then keep going. The Cinderace V. Now I did get a question why that's in there, mainly because obviously when you use the Reshiram Charizard with its main move, you're not able to attack 2 times in a row, but you get a switch or a Mullow and Lana. Mullow and Lana, obviously, if you take damage, switch just normally. But you have the Giant Hearth in there, and then if your opponent has like a Chaotic Swell or wants to use their own Stadium, that's fine. But with the Cinderace V, if you switch or Mullow and Lana into it, with a Stadium in play, its retreat cost is 0. So that's kind of like the scapegoat of this deck. And I find that like super, super nice and super efficient. Like, I really enjoy the Cinderace V as well. It's another scapegoat because you got the Cinderace V Max in there. And what that does is when you're facing like an Obstagoon or a deck that prevents any basic Pokemon from attacking, the Cinderace V will be able to help you. It'll be able to clutch it because then Cinderace VMAX is in a basic Pokemon, so then there you go. You got the advantage, and that's the main purpose of that. But if you don't have that in there, then, well, say if you just have the Charizard and Reshiram and then some other basic Pokemon, then when you face that Obstagoon, you're kind of like in in like a tight situation there, which is why I really, really like and say the Cinderace V and V Max is probably a really good combo to have in there. Obviously, you can have the Charizard from, oh my gosh, what's that? Would it be Broken Bonsai thing? Or Team Up? I think it's Team Up with the ability to do damage to itself in order to put energies in it. I can't exactly remember what the attacks are called, but obviously a Charizard like that would be useful. But for me, I prefer the Cinderace V and V Max, and then obviously you got your basic stuff. The Cherish Balls, now those are kind of like choose your poison. If you play it, you could either get the Detonate GX in the deck, and obviously if you know what a Detonate GX does, it makes it so you discard your hand and then get a new hand right there, which goes super, super nice if you haven't used your trainer and you just want to completely refresh your deck to potentially get that Welder or so forth. And especially if you have a Giant Hearth in the first hand, play that, Cherish Ball, Dedenne, and then boom, if you get a Welder, then you got your 2 fire cards straight from the Giant Hearth as well. So it's just, for me, the Cherish Ball is like almost crucial. But again, say you need the Reshiram and Charizard, you can use the Cherish Ball to get that. Like, there's so many advantages and disadvantages to this deck. Now, as I said, there are obviously some cons. Like, after this, I'm going to go and I'm going to edit this deck to be able to just, play more online and so forth. But I wanted to make sure that this aligns with what I'm showing you beforehand with, like, when you're looking at my deck. So, there's that. But, what am I going to give this deck? That is the big question. Now, again, this is the deck that I use, so I might be a little biased, but what I gotta say is I'm gonna give this a solid B+. There are ways to make it better, and I know that. I'm gonna be working on it a little bit in the future to make it the best it possibly can. Again, this is only for right now. Maybe in the next rotation, this deck is gonna be completely garbage. Who knows? But as of right now, I'm gonna stick with it. It's gonna get a B+. I really, really do like this deck. Believe me, if you're getting into the TCG, I would recommend this deck easily, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, with the League Battle decks, I'm going to be reviewing those pretty soon. So, if you don't want to waste the time to build a deck or be able to grind to afford a deck like this, then maybe the League decks will be for you. But again, I'm going to be reviewing those in a future episode. So make sure to watch out for those. But as of right now, I decided that I'm going to do this deck. Don't worry, I will be doing themes as well because I want to, I know new players use a lot of theme decks. So I want to make sure to be able to cover those and tell you which one is the best one and so forth. But as of today, we're just doing the Reshiram and Charizard. So, again, B+, really, really solid deck. Would recommend it to anyone. Maybe make some edits of your own if you're really, really good with a TCG. But again, B+, final grade. Alright, so, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment, like, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see y'all in the next episode. Deuces!